So we'll recap all the concepts whatever we discussed so far. Okay, just we'll list out, then we'll proceed to next step. Okay, theoretically whatever discussed, okay, that and you discussed, we know very well, but we'll talk about what are the configuration setups we did in the system in sequence. We'll discuss and we'll proceed. So first what we did is, in the system we created period type. Okay, we created period type, and after that we have to create accounting calendar. After creating accounting calendar, we have to enable currency. Then we have to create chart of accounts, COA. Here we no need to discuss detail level, already we just done in the system and discussed, right? So as a part of chart of accounts, what we did, we created structure, segments and value sets. We assigned the value sets to segments, flexible qualifiers to segments. We created segment values for respective segments. Okay, that's what we discussed, and we freezed and compiled, right? After that we created primary ledger. So after creating the chart of accounts, we have to create the primary ledger. As a part of primary ledger, we have to select 4 C's: calendar, currency, chart of accounts, and accounting method or conventions or subledger accounting method. You can call with any name. But here calendar we created, currency we enabled, chart of accounts we created, the subledger accounting method we selected, which is delivered by Oracle, predefined. Okay, so that we selected and we created. There itself we specified retained earnings account, which is a mandatory account for primary ledger. Before you go and select retained earnings account, we have to enable allow dynamic insert checkbox at structure level. Then system will allow us to select the, it will allow us to create the new code combination, right? It will allow us to create the new code combination. That's how we created primary ledger. After that we created legal entity. We discussed what is the purpose of legal entity. It's all about to address the registration information of the company. How many registrations company has, those many legal entities we have to create in the system. That's it. And each balance and segment value, which value we call as balance segment value? Don't say company, there is some point to understand. To which segment we assign balance and segment flexible qualifier, that segment values we call as balancing. Generally company segments, but sometimes may not do. That is the reason what we have to understand the point as, to which segment we are assigning the balance and segment flexible qualifier, that segment values we call as balance segment values. Now the balance, we have to assign the balance and segment values to legal entity. Directly we cannot do that. For that reason we have to assign legal entity to primary ledger. We have to assign legal entity to primary ledger. This is what we done, right? After assigning, there will be some establishment connectivity between those two components, means legal entity and the primary ledger. Now you can assign balance and segment values to legal entity. Assign balancing segment values to legal entity. This is what we did. In short, you can say BSV. Balance and segment values. Okay, complete. After doing this, we completed primary ledger definition, right? We completed primary ledger definition. Next step, what we did, we created responsibility, right? So we created for GL. So simply let's call it a GL responsibility. Create GL responsibility. Yeah, from system administrator responsibility, or say application also. Okay, from sysadmin or system administrator application or responsibility, you can create the GL responsibility. Already we discussed, directly from application we cannot do anything, through responsibility only. When you say application, through responsibility only. Okay. Okay, we created responsibility for GL. Next, what we did? We have to assign, right? We have to assign primary ledger to responsibility. This is what we did. We have to assign primary ledger to responsibility using profile option. Which profile option? GL ledger name profile option. By using this profile option, we assign primary ledger to responsibility. After that, we created user. Then we have to create user, and finally we have to assign responsibility to user. Assign okay. So this is what we did in previous sessions, right? So simple. Okay, very few setups we completed, and other side we discussed what is the meaning of that and some other points as a P2P, O2C, etc. Right? So from here now we'll continue. We created responsibility, and we assigned we create responsibility user and assigned responsibility user. Now if you log in to the application, and one more uh, task we did, like we assigned along with our responsibility, we assigned system administrator responsibility also to our user. What is the use of system administrator responsibility? If you want to create the responsibilities or users, and if you want to set up the profile options for all these activities, we can use system administrator responsibility. For that reason, we assign. Not only that, there are many other purposes will be using the system administrator. We'll come to know in the further sessions. Okay, but for now, whatever we have seen, those are the 3 points: responsibility creation, user creation, and profile options, setting profile options. Okay, this is the purpose we used. Okay, done. So we have to assign responsibility to user. Up to that we did. Now which user we used? So if your user is, what is our username? HCL. System is not responding. 1 second. User we created as HCL. Welcome. Okay. Password is welcome. I think I entered in uppercase. Okay, now we are able to access to our own responsibility. Now the next step is here. From now what we have to do is, we'll try to understand how to create the journal transaction. Okay, in journal, whatever in GL, general ledger application, whatever the transaction we create, that simply we call as journal. GL, what we can create journal. Okay, journal is nothing but, to understand the simple definition, the day-to-day business transactions. Day-to-day business transactions we can record in system in the form of journals. That's it. Okay, journal is nothing but the regular business transactions. Regular business transaction will be recording in the form of journals. The day-to-day business transactions we can record in GL in the form of journals. Okay, take each and every point. Just make a note. Okay, day-to-day business transactions we can record in the system in the form of journals. If you see, it's all about business transaction, right? Day-to-day business transaction. If you create the business transaction GL, the naming convention we have as a journal. But if you create day-to-day business transactions on the payables, we have some naming convention based on the activity, based on the event what we do, right? If it is related to, if it is something, some kind of document from the supplier, generally that we call as invoice. Payables invoice or purchasing invoice or supplier invoice also, because we are getting from supplier, simply you can call as supplier invoice. The same supplier invoice information, if you are going to maintain in GL, again that will be calling as journal only, but classification is purchase invoice, but the standard name is journal. Okay, if you are creating anything in GL, simply that we call as journal. That's it. So how we can create the journal in GL? Basically, journal information is classified into two parts: journal header, journal lines. Okay, journal header information and journal line information. Okay, journal information is classified into two parts. Okay, the total journal information is classified into two parts, like journal header information one part and lines information is the other part. So before we go and understand about what is the header information, line information, simple question is how to create the transaction. We already discussed how to create the transaction. How to create the transaction? By specifying the date, description, and for amount with the currency specification, right? Yes, let's call it as amount only. Definitely that should be specified with the currency. Let me write as a currency only. Currency means the amount specification, right? This is very key information. Along with that, you can capture some additional information which is useful internally or for any other purposes, but primarily these three elements you should take as a part of every business transaction: date, description, and currency. When you talk about header, so when you are creating journal, that journal is what you have to write it. Which journal? Expense related journal, or you are paying some salaries, or you are doing some sales or adjustment or anything. So in the journal header level, the primary, okay, the very important details we'll discuss now. First of all, in the journal header level, we'll write the journal name. Okay, we'll give the journal name and we'll provide the date and period and currency. There will be many other attributes which we have to provide at the time of journal creation, but in this stage those all are not required for us. Those all comes under separate features also. At the time we'll be discussing something like balance types, okay, reversal methods, okay, sources, categories, etc., etc. There will be many other set of information, but now we don't require. Just our target is we have to first initially we have to understand how to create the journal, what is the structure journal has. That's it. So we'll target for that. Okay, this is simple information. Journal header level will provide the journal name and which date we are recording. That journal is belongs to which period, and again the journal you are going to record in which currency. This is the information we'll provide. When I talk about journal lines, here I will provide debit and credit lines. Okay, if you are spending some expense, okay, you are spending some expense and you have to pay some amount, or else it can be liable. If you are paying, will be debiting expense debit and liability credit. If you are paying, you paid, so cash is credit. Okay, so which account is debit and which account is credit? Okay, that you have to mention in the journal line. That is nothing but description. Okay, with which account, and here again we have to specify the amount also. Simply you can say here debit and credit accounts, you can say. the journal line level, we have to enter debit and credit accounts. Which account is debit and which account is credit based on the business transaction. And whatever the currency here will give the amount. This amount in which currency? That currency anyway will be giving in the header level. So this is how we'll create the journal. After creating the journal, first by providing this information, we'll create the journal. Once you create the journal, what system will do is automatically it will create the each journal. If you create one journal by providing this information, each journal system will treat as a one batch. Even one journal it will treat as a batch, or else we may create multiple journals. Okay, the multiple journals you can create by using the batch functionality that we'll be discussing. But for now, the simple point is each journal. What is the structure of journal? Header and lines. So if you create any journal with header and line information, that journal system will create as a one batch. Okay. So how the batch will be useful and all, we'll see detail level. For now, that is a point you have to understand. Okay, done. Okay, anyway, we'll provide the header and line information, we'll create the journal. After creating the journal, what we have to do? After creating the journal, we have to post the journal. After creating the journal, we have to post it. Say for example, you are filling some online application. You've given all the information and you saved. If you don't submit, what happens? No use, right? You should submit. Then only it will go and update in their database, the site, right? The request will go to them, right? The same way here also, you are specifying with which account, how much amount, in which period, in which currency, on which date and all. After providing all this information, you can save. You have to save anyway. You have to save. After saving, if you don't post the journal, what are the amounts you entered in the specific currency, the amounts cannot be updated against this specific account. Say for example, I'll create journal with say some expense 10,000 in October month, this month. I'll create and I'll save it. If I don't post it, what happens? If I go and verify in the October month expense how much we spent, it will show 0. But reality that is 10,000. But we created journal and saved, but we didn't post. If you don't post it, there is no use of journal which we have in the system. So it's a mandatory, every journal should be posted. So what is the purpose of posting? To update the account balances, we have to post the journal. Okay. To update the, by posting the journal, we can update the account balances. By posting the journal, we can update the account balances. This will be testing, we'll test it. Okay, when you are creating journal, we'll create and we'll save it. We'll go and verify any balances are updated against the accounts or not. We'll verify. After that, we'll just come back to the journal and we'll post it, and again we'll go and verify. You can see the difference. Okay, simple point here to understand. What is the purpose of posting? To update the account balances, we have to post. Which account balances? Within the journal, which account we have, what are the amounts we have, those amounts we have to update against those accounts. That is possible only through posting action. That's it. Done. Okay, now what we have to do, we have to create journal and we have to post it. That's it. Okay, we have responsibility ready. Yes, we can go and create and post the journals. If you want to create the journal, what we have to do is, we have to, in which period you want to create the journal? In which period you want to create the journal? Generally current period, right? We never plan to create journal in future periods or past periods, right? Generally current period. Okay, current period, say in October we want to create the journal. Take simple example, you are entering into this institute. If you want to enter into this institute, what we have to do? You have to open the door. Without opening the door, can you enter inside? No. In the same way, if you want to create journal in the October month, that means the journal has to enter inside, right? Inside in the sense, we have to create within the October. Here, if you want to enter inside, you have to open the door. In the same way here, if you want to enter the journal in October month, you have to open the October month date not. If you open the period, within the period all dates we can use for transaction. The simple point is in which period you want to enter the journal, you want to create the journal, that period should be open. If the door is open, then only you can enter here. Period is open, then only you can enter the journal. Okay. So by default, all the periods, whatever the periods we created, it will be like never opened. Means we not at open by default. Default means standard status. Okay. So now what we have to do? We have to go and open the periods first, then we can create the journal. In the sequence, what we have to do is first we have to open the periods. In which application you want to enter the journal? Tell me, no secret, right? Everybody knows. In which application you want to create the journal? GL, right? That means we have to open which periods? In which periods, which application periods? GL periods. Say, take the task as open GL periods. Here we have to open only period only. Why we are calling periods multiple? We'll discuss. We'll see that. Okay. Take the task as open GL periods. This is the task. Okay. Task name is open GL periods. Now we'll see how to open the periods. So take the navigation. Take the navigation. Okay, navigation is first go to your general ledger responsibility. This is what we created. HCL general ledger super user. Why we given the name as super user? Because this responsibility has access to all the features which are related to GL. So that's it. Generally, the super users or managers will have access to this. That is the reason we just given the name as super user equal to manager. Okay, you can just click on any one of the sub menu, then click on any one of the function. Okay. So this is the responsibility which we created, right? Now we want to open the GL periods, right? Anyway, just this is a function related forms, we know. Close it. Now we are in HCL general ledger super user responsibility. Now take the navigation to open the periods. Setup, open or close. Means from the same navigation you can open, and if you want to close also you can close it. Why we are opening? To enter the transaction. Why we have to close? Come on, don't say something else. Why we are opening the door? To enter. Why we are closing? Not to allow anyone, not to exit. We don't want to allow anyone, right? We opened and we entered, and we spent some time here. Now I am closing in the sense not to exit. I can exit, right? Not to allow someone to enter inside, right? In the same way here also, end of the month, you have to close the period. Otherwise, even if you are in November, if it is October period is open, users may enter the transactions in October by mistake, since that is open. So that is reason to restrict, to set some control. That also we'll discuss detail level, but just simple point I'm telling. Okay. So we have to open it. Just double click. Okay. Then click on find. Means this is a journal. This is a ledger, right? How this ledger is coming here? We didn't select many ledgers we have in the system. How this ledger is coming? Please answer. We assigned this primary ledger to this current responsibility. Now where we are in that responsibility inside we are in, right? When we are in responsibility, within the responsibility you go anywhere, go to any function or any future. Within that function or future, or I'll say simple term, within the any form, if you have field called as ledger, there that ledger will get displayed. That means that will get defaulted within the responsibility, because that primary ledger is assigned to that responsibility. Within the responsibility, go to any form. If you find the field called as ledger, system will display this ledger only. Reason, this ledger we assign to that responsibility. Okay, so that's how. Okay, so here see, I'm just trying with other. I don't find any other ledger because I given access to this responsibility to use only this ledger. That's it. Now we can open the periods also only for this ledger. Okay, so just click on find. Take all the points. Take all the points. Click on find. Okay, just click on find. Now system is displaying the information. Okay, this is the ledger. Within the ledger, the first period is April 16, because we created accounting calendar which starts with April 16 only. That is the reason system is taking as a first period as April. Yes. So now simple point here is, we are in which period now? October. So first period is April. If you want to open October, you have to open all previous period. Say you want to open this classroom door, you need to open outside door also first, right? The sequence you have to follow. In between, if some other doors are there, you should open, otherwise no. But we don't see, we want to enter in this room only. For that we have to follow that process. After entering inside, those doors you can close, this door you can keep open, right? Here also same practice. When you are opening any target period, means our target period is October. To open the October, you have to open all these periods. This is only we'll do at the time of implementation time. We'll discuss that detail level, but simple point, we have to open October. To open October period, first period you have to open. Okay, by default system is displaying first period as April. Yes, that is true. Just click on open. Once you click on open, the request will be submitted to concurrent manager to open this April as a first period. That we can see. Just click on open. Say, are you sure you want to open this period as a first period within your primary ledger? Yes. Take all the points. Just click on yes. So request is submitted to concurrent manager. Request ID is on. So you may no need to take that IDs and all. Just say okay. Now how to go to SRS window? View request find. Right. See here system is displaying that request. The concurrent manager is processing the request to open the April period as a first period within our primary ledger. If you want to complete it as soon as possible, what we have to do? Hit refresh data tab. It will be completed as soon as possible. Otherwise, it may take some more time. Okay, open. Now just to see that update as period is open, close and reopen the same form. Same now, you don't need to change the navigation of same. Click on open. Click on by now you can see the period status as open. And next period status is future entry. We have different statuses for the periods that will discuss detail level when we are working on GL. Okay, now just we are going to see the basic transaction part. So now we are not going to discuss detail level GL. When we are working on detail GL application, we'll discuss everything. Okay, done. Now which period we want to open? October. So to open October period, click on open period. Take the points, take each and every point. We reopen the form. You can now you can see the status as first period is open. Okay, next period status system is showing as future entry only May. So for this we have one setup in the ledger level that we'll see. Okay, there you can specify how many periods you require as a future enterable periods and all. What is the purpose and how different future entry status and open status are closed or permanently closed. Different statuses we have that we'll be discussing. Okay, now we want to open our target period, right? Just click on open period tab. Now system is asking what is your target period. What is the target period? October. And if you click on OK, what system will do is, as we discussed, we have to follow the sequence, right? The same way system automatically will open the periods from first period to October. Directly system cannot open the October period directly. So already April is open, then it will open May, June, July, August, September, then finally it will open October. Since we are not going to record any transactions in May, June, July, etc., other past periods, those you can close and you can keep October only open to record the transactions. Why we are opening? There is no possibility in the system to open directly which period we require, right? That is the reason we have to follow this sequence of this process. Okay, so system is asking what is our target period, October. Then say open. Now it will open all the periods between April and to October. Up to October it will be opening from May. Just click on open. Are you sure you want to open the target period as a October? Yes. Say OK. Now go to SRS window. Right. View request. Find, right? Just I use the shortcut that we'll discuss. So view request. Fine. Don't go with any shortcuts and all. Now just you follow all the navigations. Okay. So and you can remember the same. So just refresh. Take some time. Reason it has to open multiple periods. Okay, done. Now reopen the same form. Click on find. Now you can see the status as open. Okay, October period is open. Anyway, we don't need these periods, right? Previous periods we are not going to record any transactions. Okay, that we'll see. I'm setting the status as closed. Here if you click on LOV, you can see the one of the status as closed that I am selecting. Just I want to restrict. I don't want to allow anyone to enter the transactions in previous period. When you discuss about these period statuses, it will be more clear for you. For now, this is the point you have to understand. Okay, done. And save it. Once you try to close it, system will submit the request again to content manager by just giving the information. These are the periods closed. Submitted 6 content requests means 6 periods we close, right? The update system has to give to content manager. Okay, when you are just closing the periods and again when you are reopening, what points you have to consider, that we'll discuss. At the time of period status discussion, we'll do that. It's all about how to open the periods. That's what we are discussing. Okay, so let system run this. It may take some time. We'll proceed with our work. Okay, so we open the periods. Now we can go and create the journal. Okay, take the task name as create journal. Simply you can say create manual journal. We are going to create it, right? We are not going to create automatically. Generally we call it as create manual journal. Create manual journal. Create manual journal. Okay, take the navigation. Journals, enter. Navigation is journals, enter. This is the navigation to create the manual journals. Okay, it's opening. Find journals form, right? Within this form we have one tab called as new journal. Click on new journal. Take each and every point. Just take each and every point so that you can use when we are practicing in the system. Okay, don't ignore any just system related process. Okay, by thinking okay it's easy I can do it. Okay, anyway it may be easy, but make a note. The time of practice we can use it. Okay, just click on new journal. Now it will open journal creation form. So what is the structure of journal we discussed? Structure, header and lines. Journal structure is header and line. Once you create journal, each journal will be created as a batch also, that also discussed. Okay, so this is journal. This section we call as header. See here we have line, right? Below to line tab whatever we have that we call as lines. The above section we call as header. Header and level what information will provide? No, not key information. Everything key information only we discussed, but here we'll provide journal name, currency, date, period, right? Primarily that information. Line level description means debit and credit accounts and amount. Okay. Here we'll just give the journal name. Here simple point. If you give the journal name, okay, or else system will take the journal name automatically. It's always recommended to provide the journal name if you are entering, so that easily you can identify. Otherwise, if system is giving, system will give its own name, some default name, saying that manual journal on so and so date and at so and so time it was created. That's it. By seeing that name, you cannot understand what purpose the journal was created. So that is the reason. So best thing practice is you can provide the journal name when you are testing also. Okay. So I'll give you here expense journal. Okay, journal I'm recording for expense, to book the expense. So already we discussed. Okay, what are the form you open? Within the form, if you find the field called as ledger or primary ledger, automatically system will take the ledger name, right? Reason? We assign that ledger to this responsibility. Within the responsibility only we are opening any form, so automatically that will come. With that reason, say already system taken, selected SL India as a ledger. Simply you can say it's a defaulting. Default. Within this ledger we have calendar, right? Within the calendar, what is the latest period open? October. Just notice that point. Latest period, last period open October. That period it will take automatically. You don't need to do. If you open only up to May, here it will take May only. Don't say current period it will take. Current period it will take, but if the current period is open as a latest period in our calendar, accounting calendar, or within our primary ledger, simply you say. Okay, that's it. So, and system is defaulting the date also automatically, because that is our system date. Anyway, the system date and this should sync, right? Reality. So currency also system is taking automatically from this primary ledger. Means everything is getting defaulted. So from primary ledger system is taking the calendar information, periods and dates, and it is taking the currency information also. Done. Now that means on header level we don't need to provide anything for now. Okay, later we'll discuss some other points, what is the category, etc. All we'll be discussing. But just we given the journal name, that's all. Okay, the header level we given journal name. Now we'll move to the lines. Okay, lines. Line in lines, just place the cursor in the line number. I'll just give the line number as a 1. Tab out. So here account. So in chart of accounts we have segments, right? Those segments values we can select in this field. So within this ledger, which chart of accounts we have, that chart of account segments and segment values will get displayed from this field. Yes, LOV. Okay, if you click on this LOV, within this ledger, which chart of accounts we have, within that chart of account, what are the segments and segment values we have, those will get displayed. You can select accordingly, whatever you are, what transaction you are recording, accordingly you can select the segment values, company, department, account, etc. Just click on LOV. At the time of segments creation, we given the segment name. Once you tab out, what system will do? It will take the same name as window prompt. Window prompt is nothing but display name, that is nothing but this. Say for example, you given the segment name as company, and same name system will be copying as window prompt. But if you change the window prompt to HCL company, here it will display it as a HCL. But your segment name is company, that won't get displayed. Window prompt name only will get displayed here. Okay, fine. Now select company. Okay, let's select this company just for testing. HCL Financial Services. Which department? Select department, any one of the department. I am selecting finance department. Account. HCL Financial Services, finance department, what they are doing? Say they are spending, they are just paying some salaries. I written expense, I'll be changing. So say salaries. And say okay. Salaries means expense for us, right? So salaries account will get debited. So how much? Say 1 lakh. 1 lakh I entered. Okay, done. Now we have to create the credit line also. We can have multiple debit and multiple credit lines, but here we are going to test by entering the simple journal with a 1 debit and 1 credit. Go to next row, place cursor here, it will take the number automatically. Okay, generally you can give the line number 1, 2, 3, 4, or else 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. That sequence, that frequency you can proceed. Again click on LOV. Select department, account, say cash. We'll add many accounts later. Say okay. Here credit, here debit and credit. Here whatever the currency we have, the same currency is defaulting here. See, debit 1 lakh INR. Okay, that currency. Whatever you give in the header level, okay, that will be the balance will be represented with that currency. Here enter 1 lakh. That we created. Now we have to save it. Control S, or here we have save icon, right? Journal is saved. So can we change anything? Now you can change anything before saving. After saving, you cannot change. Primary ledger you cannot change. Period also you cannot change, and currency also you cannot change. Notice these points. When you are creating before saving, you can change those parameters. Simply you can call them as a parameters, values. Okay, so certain parameters you can change before saving. After saving, you cannot change. And here, can you change this accounts, debit accounts and credit accounts, and debit and credit amounts? See and tell me. You don't need to learn here. You can change. You can see the fields are updatable. Okay. So if I place here cursor, it's grayed out, right? Since grayed out, I can say I cannot change. What about this field? What about this field? Yeah, we can write anything or we can change if something is existed. Simple. So these fields are updatable. Before saving, you can change everything. After saving, certain parameters you cannot change. Now what we have to do this? We have to post it. So now whatever we can change before posting, those you cannot change after posting.
Can we add some more lines?
Sorry?
Can we add some more
Yeah, you
lines?
can add some more lines. You can add a few more. I can add one more, or else I'll write in this way. Because we don't have multiple accounts, I'll take 50,000 here. I may create one more line for same salaries only. Think that is a different account. 50,000. Two debit line, one credit line. Yes, you can have multiple. Okay, it's all about, see, you spent five different type of accounts, five different type of expenses. You can enter five different debit accounts, one credit account that can be cash or liability. That's it. You can enter. We'll come across all those things. We'll be doing in payables. We'll be sending the data to here. We will understand. But generally in GL we don't record the real business transaction. What purpose we'll be creating the journals also will be discussing. For now, our target is understanding how to create the journal. How to create the journal. That's it. That's just simple point we will understand. Then we'll just start with our the real time process from where we start, what how to start. Everything will be discussed. Just now because we created our primary ledger and we did everything. So to test or to understand based on that what we can do, how things can be handled in the system, we are trying to understand here. Okay. And this is how you can create multiple debits and credits. Done. Save it. So now we have to post. See, we have this journal. Okay, we have this journal. So I'm just closing this journal. Okay. Now I want to go and inquire. In October month, salaries how much amount, salaries how much we paid, or else salaries how much balances we have. I want to know. Okay. In specific for specific account in particular period, I want to know the balances. So for that, what we have to do, we have to go with the account inquiry. Say inquire account balances. Take the task name as inquire account balances, or I'll say find account balances. Anything inquire or find, both are same. So say inquire account balances. Okay. Say inquire account balances. Okay, inquire account balances. So take the navigation to inquire the balances. If you want to know specific account balances in the particular period, you can follow this navigation. Okay, navigation is inquiry. You want to know which balances? Specific account balance in the particular period, right? So inquiry account. Navigation is inquiry account. Inquiry account. So since current latest to open period is October, the same period system is default. If you are anyway, we are going to find out the balances for October only. For which account, that account you have to select from here. Just place the cursor in account field. Just place the cursor in account field. Take the point. Place cursor in accounts field. Okay, place cursor in accounts field. Place cursor in account fields. Now system is asking, we want to know the account balances. Okay, for which company, which department. You want to know particular account balance. That account should belongs to particular department and account, right? Company, right? So which company? You may give like 1 to 3,000 or okay 1,000 to 3,000 or any specification. Anyway, we want to know for only one account, one company. This company. Select it. It will take as a low and high, means from and to. Which department? Specific department, or else all means you can select this 1,000 here. Okay, like this 1,000 here, and for the company 1,000, four departments you can select. Okay, how you want to find accordingly you can select. Only this I am taking here, also I am taking 1,000. Which account balances you want to know for this current month? Which account balances? Salaries. Or else we want to know how much cash you paid. Anything possible, right? Any account. Anyway, we want to know salaries. Say okay, only one account. If you want to know the balance for multiple account, you can select the range. Then say okay. Company 1, department 1, account is 3 lakhs. Say okay. Okay. Say okay. Done. Now click on show balances. It will show the balances with this account for the October month. If any balances are updated against the salaries account in this period. We have journal, right? We have journal and we saved. Now it should display the balances, right? Yes, if you say you didn't understand, it should not display. Because we didn't post it. We discussed. When you post the journal, then only balances will get updated under that we can see. Discuss, right? You post the journal, then only balance will get updated. Now when system will be showing these balances, if balance are updated, if any balance are updated against the salaries account in this period, then only it will display. No balance are updated, right? But we have journal. But now just click on show balances, it will show zero, nothing. The reason? Not posted. Okay, now we'll go and post and we'll verify so we can see the difference. Okay, now we have to go and find that journal. What are the journal we created? Say find journal. Take each and every point. Whatever we are doing, take each and every point. Say find journal. Find journal. Navigation is journal center. Same navigation. Okay. Find journals. Navigation is journals. Enter. Here you can see the find journals form. Simple. If you know the see batch name also it is asking. You can see that as a batch also. You can enter your journal name if you know. Expense. You can enter. Or else what you can do is you can give your ledger name, primary ledger. Within that primary ledger, how many journals are there? All journals will be displayed. Otherwise, simply you can give the source. That we'll discuss later. There is nothing but application name that we'll discuss detail level. Category also you can give. That also not required. Or else we have access to only our ledger, right? If you give the period as October, within our primary ledger in October month, how many journals are created? Only those journals will be displayed, not all, only that specific period. If you give currency, the specific with that currency, how many journals are there? Those will get displayed. And you can just give some other information. Click on more. Here, you may just specify create dates created. Okay, means you want to see the journals which are created only today. Click on LOV and say okay. If you click on find only journals which are created in on 17th October, those journals will get displayed. Now we don't need to go with any criteria, any condition because we have only one journal. Simply you can click on find. Okay, simply you can click on find. It will get displayed. If you have bulk volume of journals, you have to go with that filtration. Okay, conditional base find. Now we have only one journal. Directly you can take the navigation, click on find. What is the status of the journal? What is the field name? Why batch? Who created batch? No, we didn't create, right? We discussed. Each journal system will treat as a one batch. That's it. That is the reason it is saying the status. This field name is batch status is unposted. Unposted. Okay. Here source. Generally source means the transaction is created in which application. Payables we call as one source, receivables as we call as one source. Okay, assets we call as one source. The application transaction is created in which application. What is the origin of the transaction? A transaction belongs to which source. Now when you create journal in GL, the source name should be GL, right? GL, yes, correct. Every application name is nothing but application only we call as source. So but in GL, how we created this? Through manual process, right? That is the reason GL instead of for payable source name is payables, receivable source name is receivable. For GL source name is manual. Whenever you see some source name as manual, nothing but you have to understand, okay, this transaction is created in GL only. That's what we have to understand. Within the GL, we have some different sources also. We'll discuss those detail level when you are working on those concepts. But now simple point, source name is, source system is showing as manual, means manually this transaction journal is created within the GL. That's what we have to understand. Category means what purpose this transaction is created. This we didn't select. By default system is taking, we accepted. We'll discuss that later. Now period and which period, and the batch name. See how batch name system created. We discussed system create every journal as one batch, right? How it is created? We take in journal name and on which date and what time we created. This is the journal name we given, and journal we created with this currency, and you can see the debit and credit amounts. 1 lakh and okay, done. Now we'll open this journal. Okay, we'll open it because we have to post it, right? So this is a journal. Click on, select this journal. Select, just place the cursor in that same record row. Simple. What we are doing is we are taking this navigation, right? Journals, enter, then click on find, then click on review journal tab. Click on review journal tab. The same form will open. Okay. Now we have to post it to update the balances. Before posting, can we update these accounts and amounts? Yes. After posting, you cannot do it. Then click on post. Request is submitted to content manager. So ID. Say okay. Now you can go to the SRS window. View request. Fine. The content manager will be processing this posting activity to update those amounts with the respective accounts. Okay, done. Now you can re-query this journal. You may copy this journal name and F11, right? Paste the journal name, control F11. A total journal is freeze, right? Do you find any field which can be updatable? No. All are fixed. Now where is the status of this journal? If you want to see the journal status, go to this tab. Other information. Before posting there, you can see the status as unposted as we seen earlier. So go to this tab called as other information tab. There you can see the journal status as posted. Source is manual. The same you can see in this other window also, right? Here also. But that is not updated since there is, we didn't refresh it, anything. Journal is posted. And closing this, if you reopen the same, it will be updated. Otherwise, if you want to update the status, already in the database is updated, but just you can click on re-query, means refresh. Yeah. Re-query. What is the status? Posted. The actual status is posted. Current status. Okay. Review journal. This is what you can see. Now say, by mistake you entered something wrong in this journal. By mistake you entered some wrong department or wrong account, but you posted, balance will get updated. Now if you want to correct, do you have option? No. Okay, we have a separate function future available in the GL. Okay, at the time we'll be discussing. If by mistake if you enter some wrong journal, if you have some wrong journal, if you already posted, you cannot correct. Before posting, if you identify what's wrong with that, you can correct it, right? After posting, even if you find some mistake, you cannot go back and you cannot update it. So what is the solution in that case and all we'll be discussing when you work on GL detail level. Okay. Now we'll go and verify the balances now. Okay, we posted journal, right? The balances should get updated against those accounts, right? We'll go and inquire the balances now. Again, you don't need to take any navigations. Already you taken. Navigation is inquiry account. Place cursor in the accounts field. So select company, select department, only one department, and account. Salaries and say okay, and click on okay. Now click on show balances. Yes, definitely we can see the balances. Because we posted the journal, that is the reason we are able to see the balances. So simply if you go and create the journal, the balances cannot be updated. Once you post, the balance will get updated. Okay. So you can see the it's very summary level information, right? October period in rupees 1 lakh. And if you want to see little bit more information, journal name, etc., you can click on journal details. It will open the more information. So the batch name is this, and journal name is this. 50/50 means two lines we have, right? Two debit lines. Two lines. Okay. Still, if you want to see the detailed full journal, complete journal, click on show full journal. It will open the actual journal creation form from where the transaction is created. So these are the two debit lines. This is the credit line. So this is how journals can be created in GL and can be posted, and this is how you can go and inquire the balances. If you want to know the balances, okay, from other periods. So for example, so from May 16 to October 16, for this account you want to know the balances. You select this range and here provide account, click on show balances. Balance will remain same. Previous months we don't have anything, right? That's how we can inquire. Okay. So a few more other options also we have budget, etc., and here summary account. This is separate future and all that will be covering when we work on GL. Okay, that's all about journal creation. Okay, clear, right? Done. So this is all about just for our understanding to know how, I mean, how to start with the system and how to create the primary ledger, how to create the basic transaction, nothing but journal within the GL. But when you start with real-time projects, when you are working, and what process will follow when you start working with the system, and other than system, but general process what we follow when we are working in the client location and all that will be discussing at the time of implement real-time classes and all. That real-time classes will be taken detail level. Now major will focus based on the system wherever some understanding required when you are working on the system, that also will be discussing. Okay, so now what we'll do is, this is clear, right? If you have any doubts, please. Done. Okay. Now fine. Now if you are going to do the implementation for any company, okay, primarily you have to understand certain points. Okay, certain points. Okay, before we get into that discussion, you tell me, when you talk about any organization, what information you think that is very essential information for the organization to maintain in their books? Which information is very much, why company is going to use ERP application, ERP product? To maintain their business related information, right? Based on that they can have a reporting, they can understand what happening in the organization and each and everything. It's all about their data or process related data maintenance. Just they are using the system. The same question I am asking, if they are going to use, if a company is, say a company is using the some product application, which data they will be maintaining as very essential, or else they are just recording the each and everything in the books only. In that case, which information they will be maintaining as key information in the organization? You tell me. There are a lot of information, but we need a few set of data, set of details only. You tell me, just list out. From that we'll pick the key points and we'll discuss.
Client oriented.
Sorry,
Client oriented.
client oriented. Tell me anything. Just you have to speak something. That's my expectation.
Nature of business.
Nature of business they have to maintain. Tell me each and everything.
Account, their account.
Accounts. Nothing wrong. If you say A also correct, B also correct. Please.
Client relations.
Your client relations.
Employee details.
Employee details. That is very important. I'll take this. Company has to maintain employees information. Yes. What else?
Stock.
Sorry? Stock. Yeah, tell me what's wrong in that. Stock. Something I'll say goods, material or items.
Salaries and wages.
Yeah, employees part I'll take it. Yeah, what else? Sales and marketing. What else?
Team purchase and sales.
Purchase and sales. I'll just name it as business transactions. Right? Purchase and sales means business transactions. So every company they have to maintain their employees information and business transaction and the goods, the material. If they are dealing with the material or else services and all, that's different. Okay. Then what else? Legal information, registration information, right? Registration. So company has to maintain employees information, the registration, because they have to report to the government, and the day-to-day business transactions information also they have to maintain in their books, and the goods, material or inventory or warehouse related management information and all they have to maintain. So apart from that, anything else they'll maintain? You may name something else, but those all will falls into this only. If you say they maintain like in purchase invoices, purchase orders, payments, receipts, sales invoices, receipts, sales orders, all comes under business transactions only, right? On the day-to-day base, what they do, everything falls into business transactions. And if they are dealing with some stock, the goods, anything, it can be any type, any goods. They may make it or they may buy it or they may assemble, etc., etc. Anything falls into goods. An employee, whoever it may be, like contract or permanent, any employees will falls into employees. So registrations, how many registrations they have, all the information they have to maintain. Primarily, this is a very key information which organization has to maintain. Now, to maintain this employees registration, business transactions, and goods. Okay, so a simple point. Let me take here in the institute. If you look at our institute, we have some partition, right? One room as a classroom, another room as a some discussion room, and another room as a some office room, etc., etc., and one room as a lab, etc. This is how we did partition. Why we did this partition?
To identify easy to run the business smooth. Easy.
To do respective, to keep that respective work or area separately where we can get benefit out of that. If I don't maintain this partition and all, somebody will be giving the presentation, the guy who is practicing they'll get disturbed, right? And if no partition, our class may disturb many other people. Okay, so that is the reason we did partition. There will be some there is some benefit why we partition. In the same way, when we are going to maintain this information, this all information related to what? Organization only, right? This is all, this total information is organization information. Okay, this is complete information is organization information. Even it is organization information, the total information, how this organization related information need to be maintained in the books or system, classified manner. We have to classify, we have to segment, we have to separate, and we have to maintain the system that will be very easy for us to easily to fetch relevant information from the relevant classification and process wise or many other reporting point of view and many other aspects that will we can take more benefit out of that. Okay, so the total organization information we have to maintain very classified manner. This is employees information, this is legal related information, this is the business transaction. Again, when you go detail, this is purchasing related, procurement related, this is sales related. Again, if you go detail level, purchasing department separate, payables department separate, cash department separate, right? Again, that will be there, but overall we are taking the statement to your point as business transactions. And again, goods, stock maintenance and all we have to take separately. So this is how this complete organization information we have to classify and we have to maintain. So if you want to classify and if you want to maintain, you have to, here in the institute we did partition, right? So that things can be managed, I mean that respective activities can be managed in the separate room and all. The same in the system also, this kind of rooms we have to create. Here of course there we don't call as a rooms and all. The certain kind of classification we have to, some area, space we have to create in the system to maintain employees information separately, registration information separately, business transaction information separately, and goods information separately. Finally, these all we have to connect to each other. Otherwise, when you are doing the business transaction, the business transactions always should refer some goods, right? Material. If you are purchasing, which material you are purchasing, if you are selling, which material, there should be some connectivity between these, right? And if you are recording any business transaction, you should do the business with certain registration, with some legal registration, right? And if you are doing anything business transaction, goods related and all, that should get associated, that should be done by some people, employees, right? So that means this is all the information we have to maintain in the system, very classified manner, where this all will have a well connectivity. So that kind of environment we have to create in the system. In the system, if you want to maintain employee registration and the business transactions and goods information, we have certain objects we have to create in the system. What we have to do is just make a note, we'll discuss detail level. So to maintain, see, okay, we will understand very detail level once we start working on the system. In this stage, if I'm going to explain everything, certain system related terms or detailed functionality, it may be bit confusion for you. That is the reason in this stage, how just easily you can understand on that way, and on that base I'm explaining these points. Okay, the simple point here is to maintain employee information in the system, we have to create business group. Okay, this is a business group or HR organization that will understand detail level. This stage you try to understand. Okay, to maintain the employees information in the system, we have to create business group in the system, we call as BZ. Okay, if you are going to do the implementation for any company, if any company is going to use Oracle application for their company, to maintain the employees information, we have to create, what we have to create in the system? Business group. However, we are creating our calendars, primary ledgers, legal entities, and the same way we have to create the business group. You know this point. To maintain the registration information in the system, what we have to create? That's all. Legal entity. The company registration information we have to maintain separately with the concept called as legal entity. That can be one or multiple, that depends, but that information should be separate records. You should not mix with the employees and business transaction or material. It has to be maintained separately. Separate classification should be there. Okay, and business transactions, to record day-to-day business transactions, all the business transactions will maintain in the system by creating the environment in the system called as operating unit. Okay, with the concept called as operating unit, OU, we can record all the business transaction that may be done by payables department or receivables department, purchasing department or sales department, any other departments. We'll discuss more detail level, but just take these points. Okay, we'll discuss more detail. Okay, to maintain the employees information in the system, we have to create business group. With the help of business group, we can maintain the employees information in the system. With the legal entity concept, you can maintain the company registration information, and with the operating unit concept, you can record the day-to-day business transaction. You can maintain, and goods to maintain the material and all for warehouse related information. We have to have a inventory organization. The name is more relevant. Warehouse or inventory, same, right? IO we call. Okay. Fine. Yeah, tell me.
This cash information is not.
Sorry. Cash information also you can take business transactions. Okay. Any transaction, business transaction. Okay. So this is how just we have to maintain this data classifications with these concepts. To maintain the stock related information, we have to create inventory organization in the system. To maintain day-to-day business transactions, we should have we should create the operating unit in the system, and for registration information, legal entities, for employee information, business groups. Okay, you have all these, but we discussed one point. To create any business transaction, what we need? Primary ledger. Primary ledger. Still, you should not think to find out. Okay, to create any business transaction, we need primary ledger. Okay, so that I am taking here, because this all comes in the sequence hierarchy that we'll discuss, but here I am taking. So wherever employee related transactions or registration, legal reporting related transaction, or business transaction, or material related transaction, any transaction you want to record, date you require, description required, the amounts and the currency specifications. If it is sub-ledger application, accounting method also we require. We discussed already, right? So everything, these all are required wherever you record the transactions. So for that reason, along with these definitions within the system, we can take other definition called as primary ledger. Okay. Now you know the meaning of these, right? Business group means to maintain the employees information. Primary ledger to record the business transaction that may be related to employee related or legal related or day-to-day transaction related or warehouse management, inventory related transactions. And the legal entity means company registration information we have to maintain the system as a legal entity. The business transactions we can record in the system with the concept called as operating unit. And inventory organization to maintain the stock information. Okay, so this is how just we can take it.
So, owner's information, owner's information, how many owners? Staff.
Those will be like as an employee only, but some designation and all will be like CEO or something else. Person only, right? That's it. Okay, the next point is we'll try to understand on what base we have to create this other points also. Okay, let me take this into some here, the hierarchy manner. One second. Okay, fine, just it should be in the hierarchical manner. Okay, I'm just going to take these 2 points. The first one, this we call as business group. Simply say busy, right? Already we taken the short names also. No issues. Just let's go. Business group. This is primary ledger. This we call as legal entity. Operating unit. Inventory organization. In short, I am writing inventory org. Okay, for everything we have short name. This is a BZ, this is a PL, this is LE, this is OU, and this is inventory organization. These all should be maintained in hierarchy only. Okay, on top level we'll have a BZ. Under BZ we'll have a primary ledger. Under primary ledger we'll have a legal entry. Under legal entry, operating unit. Under operating units, inventory organization. This is how we have to maintain the system. All we have to maintain, but in hierarchical manner. We have to follow this hierarchy in the system. Based on the setups what we do, automatically this hierarchy system will build. System will build this hierarchy automatically. So this hierarchy, this business group, primary ledger, legal entity, operating unit, inventory organization, if you are going to create these things in the system, this hierarchy we call as multi-org. What we call multi-org. So we call as multi-org. This is basically short name. Generally we call these with the short name. Multi-org means multiple organizations. Multi-org means multiple organizations. Oh, just actual name is you can take as a simply you can call as multi-org structure. Call it as multi-org structure. This we call as multi-org structure. If you are going to do any implementation for any client, first we have to create multi-org structure, then only we can start doing the implementation. Now the question here is how many business groups, how many primary ledgers, how many LEs, OUs and inventory organizations we have to create. That we have to understand. Simply if you go and create one or two, it won't work. That also we'll be discussing, but simply this we call as multi-org structure. Multi-org structure is nothing but multiple organization structure. Instead of writing multiple, they written multi. The place of organization, short prefix they taken as a org. So what is a what do you mean by multi-org structure in Oracle applications? Means this is what you have to explain. We talk about multi-org structure. The top level will be having the BZ where we can maintain the employees information. Under BZ we'll have a primary ledger. Under primary ledgers we'll have a legal entities. Under legal entities we'll have operating unit. Under operating units we'll have a inventory organization. This is how this hierarchy. This only we call as multi-org structure. So you know what purpose and all, right? BZ to maintain the employees information, primary ledger to record the business transactions, and the legal entity to maintain the registration information, operating unit to record the business actual core real business transactions, inventory organization to maintain the stock. That's it. Okay. So fine. Now we'll discuss some other points also. Here one point what we'll discuss, on what base we can decide how many BGs or primary ledgers or LEs are required. If you are going to do the implementation for one client, how many require these? The structure wise we call as a multi-org structure, but how many required? How many required and what base, those we have to finalize, that we'll discuss now. That is one point. Other point is, so as per this multi-org structure, which level, which module will be using, which application will be using, these 2 points we'll discuss. Other point is reporting is possible at what level, these points we'll discuss. Okay, the first point, business group. Okay, so when you talk about business group, so how many business groups we have to create for client? How many business groups? It's very simple. So you are going to do the implementation for one company. Tell me how many business groups you will create?
One.
Don't answer how, on what base you are answering. People are saying one. We didn't discuss anything, but I am asking a question, you are answering. Okay, please don't be in that way. Okay, so on what base we'll create the business groups? We should know what base we have to create. Okay, simple. Say client is running the business in India and US. Take this simple example. Say client, we have one client, or say customer. Okay, the client is running the business in 2 countries, India and US. So business group, what is a business group? Employees. Employees information. When you talk about employees, definitely there will be some payroll information. When you talk about payroll, for Indian employees payroll system is different, US employees payroll system is different, and before that currency is different. After that statutory information is different, taxation. In some other countries no tax also, right? So that means simple difference is country to country currency is different, and when you talk about especially employees, the payroll system will be different. Reason, the statutory information, tax information. Okay, because of these reasons, for each country we have to create one business group. You have to maintain India employees separately because the currency is different and payroll process totally will be different. You cannot mix India and US employees, and you cannot make for India employees also payments in dollars. Okay, these people will be happy, but when you make the payments to US people, they may not be happy with our INR. So that's a simple, just we are discussing, but that is not the actual point. So anyway, that we should not take different country employees into one group. We have to maintain the separate groups, okay, respectively where they are doing the business. For that we have to create the separate business groups for each country. Why we have to create separate business groups for each country? The BZ will maintain the employees information when we are processing the payroll and all. The currency is different and the statutory requirements will be totally different. That is the reason, to differentiate those processes we have to maintain those information also separately. So now if you are going to implement for one company who has operations in 20 countries, how many business groups you have to create? 20. That is the best practice. That is the best practice. Some companies, what they do, they'll go with the one BZ for multiple countries, but employee maintenance and all they'll deal with within the BZ separate concepts. We have a organization, HR organizations and all. That will be the solution will be given by HRMS consultants and all. But the best practice always is for one country, one BZ. Now tell me, if you are going to implement for one country, one company, how many BZs will create? Again, somebody is saying one. How many you create means first we have to know in how many countries they are running the business, those many business groups. Don't give direct answer. Okay. So say now you are going to implement for an ABC company, how many BZs you have to create? How many countries they are running the business, those many BZs. Simple. Don't give one or two number, direct number. Based on the point, there should be a case where you have to ask the question, then only you can get information. Based on that information you can decide how many. That's it. Okay, so done. Now this you can answer, no doubt. So how many primary ledgers we require? How many primary ledgers we require?
For example, leader.
One. Somebody is saying two. There is no point we discussed as one or two, but I given the statement as you can answer. You have started answering. Okay. So primary ledger, simple. Say client is running the business in 10 countries. Client is running the business in 10 countries. So how many primary ledgers required? Why?
The currency will be different.
The 10 currencies I'll be adding on primary ledger, right? You can add it, right?
Yes, yes.
Who can add? No one can add. Not possible. One primary ledger, one currency only. Okay, one currency only as a prime. Okay, because simple difference is simple point is, see, in 10 countries client is running. Okay, 10 countries calendar may be same. I'm not saying for sure same, right? Maybe same. Okay, there can be chances. And chart of accounts they can use same. They may use in same business. They may go with the same segments also. And accounting method may be same, but definitely currency is different. Because of currency, each country we have to go with separate primary ledger. Separate 10 countries, 10 primary ledgers. But 10 countries, 10 primary ledgers means each country minimum one primary ledger. There could be chances where one country can go with a multiple more than one primary ledger also. That also we'll be discussing. But for now, you take the point. When you talk about primary ledgers, how many primary ledgers we have to use for the company means client means how many countries they are running the business. For each country, minimum one primary ledger. Maximum how many? That we'll discuss. The next point we'll discuss once we go with this all this. Okay. Each country minimum one. When you talk about business group, you are not talking about minimum one business group, right? For one country, one minimum business group we are not discussing. One country, one. Okay, it's not minimum, it's not maximum, just general practice. One country, one BC is enough. Okay, when you talk about primary ledger, for one country, minimum one. We can have more than one also, which scenarios and all we'll discuss and we'll come to that point. Okay, but for now you take that one. So for each country, minimum one primary ledger we have to use. If client is going to run the business only in India, how many primary ledgers?
Only one.
You should say only one, not minimum one. You have to say only one means wrong statement.
Minimum.
I'll show you the scenarios where they can use more than one. That anyway we'll be discussing. The terms are important, please. Minimum one. That's it. Okay, think and tell me anything. How many legal entities required? Client is running the business in one country. How many legal entities? Think and tell me. I don't need your answer. The valid answer I need. Think and tell me. Already we discussed this point. You no need to analyze. You no need to find out. Nothing.
How many?
It's located.
No.
No, you tell me your answer. Why you are objecting? His answer. How many legal entities required? Company client is running the business only in India. How many legal entities required?
Depends on balance values.
Minimum one. If there is no some key point, then you can say minimum. Here not minimum.
Only one. Balance segment value. Basing on the balance segment values, you need
Part balance and segment value. Anyone? Based on departments. It's a different answer. Yeah, we didn't discuss that.
the companies.
Based on number of registrations, those many legal entities we discussed, right? Multiple times we discussed. At that time, theoretically we discussed. At that time, I explained. But again, when we are doing in the system, we discuss. We are not finding time to prepare. I think. Fine. How many legal entities? How many registrations? How many registrations they have? Client has those many. Okay. In one country it can be one registration. In that case, one legal entity. In one country they may have 10 registrations. 10 legal entities. Based on number of registrations, we can decide how many legal entities we have to create. If they have 10 registrations, we have to create 10 legal entities. Okay, fine. Based on number of registrations. Okay, how many registrations they have, those many legal entities will be creating in the system. Fine. Done. How many operating units you have to create? You're not answering. I'm very happy because you're not telling wrong answers. We didn't discuss that point, right? Fine. How many operating units required? Because there are many parameters which will decide how many operating units required. I'll give you one point. Later we'll be talking about more on that. We'll be adding some other scenarios also. Simple point. I'll tell you. Say company client has a operations in India. In India, they are running the business in 10 locations. 10 locations. Generally, we call it 10 branches, right? 10 branches. So you tell me branch wise they have to control their expense and they have to generate the revenue, they have to prepare the reports, right?
Yes.
They have to manage and control everything branch wise, because otherwise if they are clubbing all the information, each branch will be just claiming we did good business, but there is no proof to track what exactly that branches did, right? That is reason to control what are the business, what are the expense they are spending, and to generate the revenue, like to identify the revenue how much they are generating, to maintain the particular branch related data separately, right? To keep the branch, because we should not allow one branch to see the other branch data. There should be some data security and all. In all these aspects, what we do is each branch will create as one operator. This is one scenario. I'm not telling you this is ultimate solution all the ways. The general practice is one branch, one operator. Take simple example. Here we have a Reliance Fresh, right?
Yes.
How many branches they have in Hyderabad? Maybe 50, 60. If they are going with the Oracle apps implementation, simply they'll create 50 operating units in the system. That's it. Within Hyderabad only. In Hyderabad, in the different location, they have different outlets, right? For each outlet, they'll create one operating. Then they can start tracking how much they are spending within that outlet, how much revenue they are generating, and what are the transactions they are doing. Everything they can maintain separately. Okay, more secure level, and they can have a complete control on the transactions, whatever they do. Okay, so simple point. How many operating units? How many branches? How many branches company has? Those many operating units. Just we are taking example that Reliance Fresh. Reliance Fresh is one business only, right? So they have a business in 50 locations within Hyderabad. So 50 operating units will be creating. But if you look at some other type of businesses, if you say there is a company called as ABC, or else we take a simple example HCL, right? They have three type of businesses. They have three type of businesses: financial services, consulting services, and BPO services. If they have these three businesses, for three businesses they can have three separate operating units. Say for example, three businesses they have. The three businesses they are doing in Hyderabad only in one place. Hyderabad only one place. One branch, how many operating units? Tell me whatever we're discussing. One only. But here different businesses, right? Each business branch wise one operating unit. Means how many operating units we have to create? Three. One branch only. But in one branch they are operating three businesses. The three businesses data they have to maintain separately, right? Business wise they have to capture the expense, they have to identify the revenue, they have to control the data security, transaction controls, etc. So that is the reason branch is one but business are three. In that case they can go with the three operating units, even branch is one. That makes difference. And if they are okay, it doesn't okay, we want to capture but we want to have one operating, that is also they can go with that, but that we don't treat as a best practice. The best practice would be separately. If you are going with operating, even branch is one, three different businesses, go with the three separate operating. When you do the transaction, when you have some business transaction related to consulting, record transactions with the consulting operating unit. If you have transaction with the BPO, record transaction with the BPO operating, so that you are going to maintain the transactions separately. Your business wise is nothing but operating unit wise. If you are running only one business, if you are running in the multiple locations, to capture your business transaction, your branch wise go with a separate operating unit, so that branch wise you can have a control on the transaction process. You can generate the reports branch wise, you can find out your profits or expense, etc., etc. Everything will be able to track detail level. Otherwise, by thinking only one branch, just doesn't matter, we are generating the revenue or spending the expense from which branch, end of the day you cannot identify where it something is going wrong, and how to what on for a decision. To take the decision, you have to focus on what exactly you cannot identify. That is the reason that each and every information need to be maintained. The business transaction information need to be maintained. The separate company wise. Generally, company is simply we call as entity. Entity wise, you can have entity means company. Entity wise, you can have operating unit, or else branch wise you can have operating unit, or else there will be different scenarios also we'll touch in the further sessions. Now this is clear, right? How many operators we have to create for any client? Any client.
Based upon branches,
Any client, there is no fixed number. Any client we have to create the operating based on how they are operating their business, how they are operating, where they are operating, how they are operating. Based on those parameters, we have to.
the operating unit.
By what is the advantage of operating net? If you have operating net, you can
You can
capture the expense and revenue separately, and you can have a data security, and you can have a control on the transaction. Your operating will have a separate control on whatever the business transaction they are recording in the system. That's it. The other one is inventory organization. How many inventory organizations we have to create? Very simple. How many warehouses the company has, those many. Say the company they are running the business, they have 10 warehouses in the business. Then we have to create 10. And system point of view, along with this 10, we have to create one more also. Okay, system. If company has 10 operating 10 inventory organization, 10 warehouses, we have to create 10 inventory organizations plus one additional. These 10 inventory organizations are what? These will be representing 10 warehouses, whatever the company has physically. You can go and see that, right? How many warehouses they have, those many inventory organizations we have to create. Those, that means those are physical inventories. And along with that, we have to create one additional one that we call as virtual inventory. That is for system purpose, not for business purpose. Okay. So actual inventories, physical inventories plus one virtual. We'll discuss when we are creating that virtual inventory. I will explain the what is the exact purpose, why we have to create, how it is going to be helpful in the system, not to business. This is virtual, how it will help to the business within the system environment that can be used to make the process more simple. Say there is one company who has it one inventory organization warehouse. How many inventory organizations you have to create in the system? One physical inventory, one virtual. They have two warehouses. How many then? Two plus not two, one only always. Any number plus one. That's it. If you have 100 warehouses, 100 plus 1. The 100 we call as physical inventories, the 1 we call as virtual. That is not real. You don't see in the business, but you have to maintain in the system. Why? We'll discuss that later. When you are creating it, we'll discuss, then it will be easy for you to understand. Okay. So this is what we have to understand. So how many pieces we have to create? Depending on how many countries they are running the business. And how many primary ledgers? Each country minimum one primary ledger. How many legal entities? Based on the number of registrations we have to decide. How many operating it? That depending on how many entities they have, or else how many branches they have, depending on that. How many inventory organizations? How many physical inventories they have? Those many inventory organizations plus one virtual. That's it. This space will discuss. Now here something is due, that is primary ledger. So how many we can create? Minimum one for one country. So what is the scenario to have more than one in one country? We'll see that. Let's take simple example. So Tata Group. Tata Group is one group company, right? Tata Group is one group company, parent company. Within that they have subsidiaries, right? TCS. Yeah. Tata Telecommunications. Tata Steel. Okay, we have different n number of under Tata Group. This is the parent. These all are subsidiaries, right? We have n number of subsidiaries. Say Tata Group has operations, all these businesses they are running in India. Now in that case, how many primary ledgers require? One, minimum one is enough, right? That's what we discussed. For one company within one country, minimum one is required. Here, let me take simple example here. Now, to record the TCS, Tata Consulting Services related business transaction, they need segments as a company, department, account. Okay, only these three. But that much simply no company will go, but we'll discuss exactly which segments they'll be using. And here, these people need company, department, account, and project. Segment, project, company, department, and account. That's it. In this case, what we can do to support these three businesses, we can create the chart of accounts like company as one segment, department is one segment, account is another segment. These three are common, right? For Tata Telecommunications, project is required. If you create chart of account with these four segments, that can be used by these three companies, right? When these companies are recording, they'll be entering the values for only these three. For this, they'll put some default value 00, some dummy value, not applicable, right? This company also will do the same, but Tata Telecommunications, they'll be using the project also, they'll be entering the some value. For this Tata TCS and Tata Steel, they'll be entering the project as a some default value, dummy value 00. That's how they can use it. But if you see, for example, this TCS, they need some LOB also, line of business also they have to include, and say they want to come up with something like service line, area, city. This TCS want to capture each and every transaction this much detail level. Okay, and when I talk about Tata Telecommunications, these people has to capture project. Within the project, the cost is related to which task, and say they are doing the business in the different states also. State also they want to capture. Some service type also they want to have as a one segment. You see Tata Steel, here they want to have company, department, account, and something else. You can take some, what you can take, city, yeah, so location means it can be city or state. The location they want to have, they want to have something like what values we can take, production, production line, and something else relevant. Say these segments they want to capture. Now if you want to go with the distinct segments, how many distinct segments we have? Three common, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, around 12 or 11. See, it won't become good practice if we are going to have 11, 12 segments. What Oracle recommends, always try to minimize the number of segments usage. Even there is a best possibility of up to 30, max 30. So with these reasons, again, they don't want to allow that other businesses to see their business related information related to that, what are the segments they have. Of course, there is some future also the system to restrict, but the chart of account segment size will become very big. So in that case, what they can do, they can go with the separate chart of accounts. With this, what 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 segments you can have on chart of accounts. With this 6 or 7 ones chart of accounts, with this 5 or 6 5 segments we can go with separate chart of accounts. When chart of accounts are different, calendar will be same, currency will be same, accounting method will be same, but chart of accounts are different. When chart of accounts are different, even client is running the business in one country, if they have it multiple entities where chart of accounts are different, in that case, that is a case where we go with a more than one primary ledger within the country. Clear, right? In this scenario, if they want to go with a separate, they have a different chart of accounts requirement. Calendar is same, chart accounting method is same, and currency is same, since country is same, but chart of accounts are different. If chart of accounts are different, then definitely we should go with a separate primary ledgers. How many primary ledgers, that depends, we cannot say. Okay, so this is a case where we can have more than one primary ledger within one country. That's it. Because of chart of accounts, we may go with more than one primary ledger within the country. Okay, fine. Now clear, right? Those all BZ what base? One country, one BZ. Because we have to maintain each country employees separately to support their payroll process. And primary ledgers, one country, minimum one. Okay, we can have more than one, that depends within one country if they are running the different businesses and if they have a requirement of maintaining the different chart of accounts. In that case, how many chart of accounts they want to have, those many primary ledgers. That's it. Fine. See here, in this scenario we can take like this, they can go with a separate, or else two companies can have a common chart of accounts, right? One company can be different, in that case only two primary ledgers. So simple example, TCS and Tata Steel require
One shot.
their segments are very close. Okay, they have a segment, similar segments. In that case, we can create one chart of account that can be used by those two. For both, we can create one primary ledger and can be used. And for this, we have to create separate. So three companies we have. You may go with only one, or you may go with three, or you can go with two. That everything depends. Okay, done. And legal entity based on number of registration operating net. So branches are entity base, location base. You can say location base or branch base or entity base. That depends. We'll discuss more on that also. We'll be adding few more points in the future. So inventory organizations, how many physical inventories they have? Those many inventory organization plus one virtual one. Okay, that's it. So on these points, base will be deciding the this business groups and etc. etc. Business groups, prime ledgers and everything. Okay, this is how we have to create the multi-org structure. Okay, so say for example there is a company called as ABC company. They have two legal entities and two operating units. Okay, two legal entities they have and two branches they have. In India they are doing the business. So what would be the multi-org structure? How many pieces? One. That you have to be clear on that. So they have two registrations, two registrations and two branches. Okay. So two branches, two registration means why you are saying two legal entities? Two, I mean, two branches they have. Okay, two branches they have, and they have a two registrations. Okay, you tell me how the structure would be. How many pieces? Or else in this way you tell me. they have a 3 registrations. Yes, I'm giving one point. I'm not telling anything. There is one company, they have 3 registrations. Now tell me multi-org structure.
One business. One business.
BZ1. Company is a simple point. Now again, as a fresh statement. Okay, ignore earlier one. There is one company, they have a 3 registrations. Now start from beginning. How many BZs?
One
How can you say? That's the wrong answer. I'm not telling they are running business in one country. Now you should ask the question. Yeah, best boss. There's three registration they have. Where they have? In which countries they have? I may my answer can be different. 3 registration they have in one country. I can say, and in 3 different countries, 3 registrations I can say, or else
Two in one country, one in one
2 in one country, 1 in one country. I cannot say 3 registration 4 countries, right? I cannot say that. Right? Not possible. So this is what we have to understand. If I say 3 registration, you should not start answering. Okay, the point when you talk about BZ, the country, the registrations you have to relate it to which countries. Now my answer, if you ask the question, 3 are related to one country. Now you can say one BZ. Okay, done. One BZ. Okay. How many primary ledgers? I said only 3 are in one country. How many primary ledgers?
Minimum one.
Minimum one.
Minimum one.
But how those 3 registration related operations are managed and how many chart of accounts those are going to use, accordingly you can decide. If 3 registration related companies are in one country, if they want to go with one chart of account, then one primary ledger. If the 3 registrations wants to go with the 3 different registrations,
Three.
3 primary ledgers. If the 3 registration wants to go with the 2 chart of accounts, 2 primary ledgers. Now I'll say 3 are following same chart of accounts.
One primary.
Then one primary ledger. Okay, one primary ledger. Fine. Now how many legal entities?
Three.
3 already that we discussed. Okay. LE1, LE2, LE3. Tell me how many operating units? Don't give any number. Come up with a case. So how many branches? How many entities they have, or how many branches they have, or how many locations they are operating, depending on that. I may say like for each registration they have 2 branches. For each registration they are running the 2 branches. In that case, or else for this registration 1, 2. For this only 1. And warehouses. How many warehouses? Don't give number. Don't be ready to number. You should understand the case you have to do. So that depends. How many warehouses are supporting respect to OU, accordingly you have to do. Say for these 2, for this first one, I'll just name it. OU1, OU2, OU3. When you talk about real-time classes, I'll show you that real enterprise, real multi-org structures, how the solution is finalized, etc. Okay. For now, this you can understand. Then we have to go with the warehouses, right? Say for example, for this no warehouse, for this we have one warehouse, for this also no warehouse. Think, because these two operating units are service based. In that case, no warehouse. But we are not talking here virtual for system purpose, not business purpose. Okay, no. So this is how we have to manage these things. Okay, this we call as multi-org structure as per this client business. Okay. This we call as ABC organization multi-org structure. That's it. This inventory organization 1. This is inventory organization 2. That's it. Same if they have multiple primary ledgers also you can represent according. So for example, 3 legal entities we have. Okay, so they want to have a separate primary ledgers. 3 separate chart of accounts they want to use. In that case, what you can do? Now here should come up with the 3 separate primary ledgers. Very generic names I am giving. Generic in the sense just with the same identification: primary ledger 1 and primary ledger 2 and primary ledger 3. Since we are trying here, we have to draw like in this way, but when you are doing the system automatically based on our setup, it will understand this kind of hierarchy. Okay, so this is what we call as multi-org structure. What is the advantages of multi-org structure? We'll discuss. There are disadvantages, those are not important and we don't need to focus much at all. Always we have to look for advantages. No client will ask for disadvantages. Even there are something we should not tell them. Okay, we'll discuss, because now we can discuss since we are talking about multi-org, but this I think this may not be right time to discuss where you can understand. Once we get into this multi-org creation, then I'll start explaining few points. What is the advantage of multi-org? Why we should go with multi-org and all. But simple point, to classify and to maintain the organization related information, we should go with the multi-org for more security purpose. The detail level we'll discuss later. And what are the classifications also we discussed: employee related, BZ, registration related, legal entities, and transaction related primary ledger. I mean, transaction is transaction, accounting purpose primary ledger, and day-to-day business transaction operating net, warehouse management, inventory org. That's how it will be managed. Done. Okay, clear, right? Okay, this is all about multi-org structure. And when I talk about this multi-org, what we discussed, by using the payables receivables we can record the business transaction. Now we are discussing by using the concept called as operating unit, right? What you are telling something else. Okay, by using the payables, receivables, we can record the transaction. That's what we discussed earlier. Now we are discussing with the concept called as operating unit, we can record the transactions. Both are correct. But here what we have to understand is with the concept called as operating unit, we will be recording the business transactions with the help of particular application. With the help of particular application. I'll use the concept called as operating unit. When I'm recording the transactions of payables, by specifying particular operating unit, I'll record the payables transaction. If I'm recording the transaction receivables, by specifying the particular OU, I'll be recording. So system point of view and for our understanding, what we have to do is what level, this is a multi-org structure, right? What level, which modules we'll be using, we have to understand. That simply we call as mapping. As per multi-org, what level, which modules we have to map. Module means applications. Just take a note. You may not get it now. Once we get into the system, you will slowly will be getting those points. But just make a note and remember, then easily you can understand later point of time. So basically here, BZ level we can map HRMS. HRMS application we can maintain at BZ level, means business group level we have to maintain employees. Employees can be maintained with the help of HRMS application only, right? So this HRMS, and you can take payroll application also. The payroll is not that much primary we have to take here. Just that is there will be mapping with that, because BZ will be belongs to particular country. So payroll also should be with the respective country, but payroll is separate application. This is a mapping you can take. Okay, that we'll see later. And primary ledger level, which models we can map? Here we can map GL and FA. Okay, as per multi-org structure, which modules, which applications we have to map at what level? Legal entity level. But don't try to understand what this mapping and how it is mapped, etc. Don't try to understand. Take the point and remember, you'll get the complete meaning once we get into the application. And here cash management. Cash management can be mapped at legal entity level. And operating unit level, all our just AP, AR, PO, OM, so on. So many other applications we have, but we don't require all those. And inventory organization level, INV, inventory. There's some other application, BOM, WIP and all. Anyway, not related to us, not required, just to remember these points. Okay, fine. So this is like if you are going to record the transactions in AP, each transaction will belongs to particular operating unit. That's it. If you are recording the transaction here, that will belongs to particular OU, operating unit. The same way, if you are going to do the bank statement reconciliation, that transaction, each and every transaction belongs to particular bank account, but under that bank account, the legal entity also will come into the picture. That we'll discuss it. You will understand the system only. And here GL related, always it is specific to primary ledger and FA also, fixed assets application also. It won't comes under OU specific. Reality in the business, you can find branch wise only, but in system point of view, this is how it works. We'll understand detail level when you work on business group means just separately. HRMS and inventory means warehouse, the same. Inventory, the name also same. So this is how it can be done. And where we can generate what level as per multi-org. Earlier we discussed where you can prepare the financial reports. GL. GL we can prepare, but data will be coming from where? Subledger. AP data, AR data will be coming. Again, APR data is specific to OU. OU specific. OU wise will be recording the transactions there and will be sending the data to GL. In GL also you can prepare the reports with OU specific only. But that everything will be managed with the balance and segment value concept that we'll see when we are working. Okay, that means place is general ledger, but always data is belongs to particular OU, that to subledger related, right? So that is the reason as per multi-arrow structure, what level you can create the generate the reports means OU level, but consolidated reports where you can prepare means within the GL. We'll send the OU within the OU, APR, POOM, what are the transactional record, all will be sending to GL. GL we can create the reports, but source is as per multi-org, what level you can generate the reports means OU level. Financial reports you can generate OU level. This is the point you have to understand. Clear, right? Okay, this is what we have to understand. There are a few more points which we have to understand that once we get into the system, we'll do it. But before we jump into the system practice and testing, you should understand these points. What is a multi-arg? What is a hierarchy? It's not defined by me or you. That is finalized by Oracle. You should remember the same has to be followed. The hierarchy we are not fixing. You should not say I remember BZ and LE and something else. Yes, you remember, but you remembering in the sequence or not, that's very important because there is a fixed hierarchy. When you look at our chart of accounts, structure name, segments, value sets, values, right? This is a hierarchy. The same when you look at the multi-org structure, that is chart of account structure. This is multi-org structure. Structure, when you say structure, that should follow some hierarchy. So first we'll have a BZ. Under BZ we'll have primary ledger. Don't say short names. You don't give just BZ. Okay, just use the business group. Under business group we'll have a primary ledger. Under primary ledger we'll have a legal entities. Under legal entities, operating heads. Under operating heads we'll have inventory organizations. That's it. This we call as multi-org structure. You know, I hope you are clear on that. How many BZs, how many primary ledgers, LEs, OUs, and inventories we have to create. Right? Clear, right? So the reasons also you know, and what level which modules can be mapped. Use the same terms. Mapping. Okay. So BZ level, business group level will be mapping. HR and payroll, and primary ledger level. GL and FA will be mapped. And CM will be mapped at LE level, AP, AR, POM, all will be mapped at OU. These OU specific modules also we can call. This we can call as OU specific modules. This is CM is LE specific, and GL and FA are primary ledger specific. These are BZ specific, and inventory is inventory organization specific. That's it. Okay. So that's how these things can be managed. What level we can generate reports means financial reports, operating at level. But place is GL. We'll record and we'll send the data. There will be preparing. Place is that, but it will always refer the OU only. So that's how these things can be managed. Now, once we understand about how many BZs, primary ledgers, LEs, operating heads, and inventory organizations are, we have to prepare. When you talk about primary ledger, your chart of account definition, chart of account creation is a very key object. The entire implementation, whether it is a successful or failure, okay, implementation is successfully done or successfully done in the sense the overall implementation, the target of implementation is fulfilled or failed. That only depends on how best you chart of accounts you are designing. Okay, we'll discuss detail level when I'm going to take you through this actual implementation process. Implementation process means maybe in the tomorrow or day after tomorrow session we'll be touching that. At the time I will explain. Okay, which segments we have to take, what other points we have to consider, that we'll be discussing. Okay, that we'll see when we are creating the chart of accounts. Okay, now we created chart of accounts with the 3 segments on the right. Next, when we are going to do the actual configuration, we'll create with the 6 or 7 segments. There we'll discuss more on that. Okay, done. So that's very important. The chart of account finalization is very important. Okay, so this is what we have to understand. Now once we are clear on this, to start with implementation, what we have to, you have to create the all these responsibilities. Okay, payroll is not required for us. Okay, to work on our financials, to understand the process flow, P2P, how it starts, requisition, purchase order creation, etc. We need this PO application, inventory application, HRMS application also. Now to start creating the multi-org and all, minimum these applications we have to create the responsibilities. Okay, when you are working in real time, there will be fresh instance. We don't find any vision instance. It will be fresh instance. For a fresh instance, always you have to log in with the sysadmin user only. Okay, so process wise, what we do, Take the point here. I think that is fine. Here you can take it. Okay, this will do in tomorrow session, but just make a note what we are going to do in the tomorrow session. Okay, the tomorrow session. See, from here you can take the actual real-time process. Here, whatever we did, that is also related to, but sequence-wise. Sequence-wise. So you just enter into one project, you got access to instance. Now from where you have to start. First, always will log into the instance, fresh instance as a sysadmin user. Okay. Login as sysadmin user, password also sysadmin. Then create responsibilities. We are working real time. What we do? First, we log into the instance as a sysadmin user. You never find operation user, etc., etc. You don't find sample data. That would be fresh instance. The instance you can call as environment also, fresh environment. Okay, in that environment, you'll log in as a sysadmin user. Then we have to create responsibilities. Which responsibilities we have to create? Very simple. Which applications we are going to implement for that client? All those responsibilities. Okay, which applications we are going to implement for that client? For all those applications, we have to create the responsibilities. Here, for our better understanding, we are going to create the responsibilities for the listed applications. So we will create responsible for GL, AP, AR, CM, FA, HRMS, PO, inventory, OM. Enough. These application, we will go and create the responsibilities which will support completely for our finance related process. We'll create these responsibilities. Then we'll set the profile options and all. Okay, that anyway that we'll discuss, but just keep this point ready. Okay, tomorrow what we'll do? Okay, we'll log in as a sysadmin user and we'll create the responsibilities for all these applications. You know how to create responsibility for GL, right? You know. And what I'll do is, before we go and do this activity tomorrow, whatever today we completed, based on that I'll show you some points. I may take some session. What is the data group? What is the request group? What is the menu? How these three are related? Okay, those points we'll discuss so that we'll get some understanding. Then we can go and create all these responses. That will be easy for you to understand. Okay. So tomorrow what we'll do is just we'll go through that, and again another point I'll be showing. So you know what is the purpose of natural account segment flexible qualifier, right? The natural account segment qualifier will be adding three additional segment qualifier to respective segment, to which segment you are assigning. What is the use of balance and segment flexible qualifier? We didn't discuss. That point also we'll discuss. In tomorrow's session, what we'll do? First we'll try to understand what is use of balance and segment, because already we done that point and we reached the stage where we can understand. First we'll discuss what is the use of balance and segment flexible qualifier, why we assign, the impact we'll see in the system. Once we're done with that, we'll try to understand detail level what is the response, what is the data group, what is the menu, what is the request group. These 3 points we'll understand. Once we're done with that, we'll proceed with the actual real-time implementation process in terms of system. Okay, and other points what you have to understand theoretically, process-wise, that I'll be covering in the real-time related classes. I'll explain you detail level. If any company is going to do the implementation, from where they start, whom they interact, from being which location they can do, and what reasons they'll be contacting other team members, how team will be formed, what are the roles will be having in the team, what is the responsibility being a finance functional consultant, and everything will be discussing in and out implementation process and support process and upgrade process and etc. Some other type of implementations we have, everything we'll be discussing. Okay, but for now let's try to understand system point of how things happen. The system point of only what we have to understand to get some understanding or command on the system by mapping with the business, etc. Okay. The tomorrow session, first we'll discuss about the balancing segment flexible qualifier purpose, what is the use, and we'll see in the system also how that can be functioning in the system. The second point is responsibility. Once we're done with those two objects, then we'll proceed with this sequence of multi-hour configuration. Okay, multi-hour configuration. You can title it as a multi-hour configuration. Okay, multi-hour configuration process we'll see in the tomorrow session. There are many steps. Okay, there are many steps we'll discuss and we'll be doing tomorrow. After doing those two, two also will do it. Then we'll proceed with the other setups. Okay. Any questions on today's session, please? See, you have to spend time as we discussed. Just take all the points, read your note multiple times, and sit and have a discussion. I am not finding people are doing that. Please. Okay, you will see the real benefit out of that. Really, you'll be very much happy with that if you do it. You'll get more. You'll gain more confidence and command many other share positive. Okay, so spend time here, sit and have a discussion. Once you find you are okay with the what are the stuff you are discussing, please take initiative to give the presentation. Okay, and practice multiple times. So if you do all those things, nothing will stop you. You can go and get the job very easily. You can survive. That is very important. Okay, getting job you may get good or bad in some other ways, but survival is important, right? So if you are expecting survival also, you have to be okay with the subject. So spend more time. I request you, if you are working, okay, proceed. If you are not working, you are just learning this course, you are waiting for a job on this only. Try to spend time in the institute only from morning to evening. Nothing wrong, right? Just please spend time here, minimum 7-8 hours. Then that will help you a lot. But spend time in the institute by touching all these areas. Not you'll sit in front of system only. You love system and you love practice. You will be doing great hard work. One way means it won't work. I am telling how many ways you have to work out. Okay, take all the points, read multiple times, and sit and have a discussion, and give presentation. Do practice. When you are doing all this, speak in English only. I am not telling learn English by speaking. I am not telling. What happens is when you speak in English about subject, the terminology will become very friendly. Or else, if you are speaking in Telugu, when you speak first time in English with your subject, again it is strange, it's new for you, your tongue, right? So get flexibility with the terms in English only. Even you know English very well, speak in English regarding the subject. You know everything and you know English very well, you know subject very well, but you are speaking here Telugu means when you go for interview or when you are facing someone, that will become first time or second time speaking in English respect to our subject. So that again that will be different experience. That is the reason I am just suggesting whatever you have discussions or presentations or when you sit in the lab, if something is not working, you speak. I'm creating responsibility. It's not coming. You speak like that. You don't speak in Telugu, this and that. Okay, the terms you just use in English only. Okay, the complete communication related to this course, whatever you do, go with English. So that will make you the whole subject, all concepts very friendly to you to speak anytime with good flow. Otherwise, you are doing good practice, you are discussing a lot and etc. And but you are not speaking English, the terms are not going to be friendly. And when you are explaining also, you know subject very well, the flow won't come when you are explaining first time or second time in English. That is the reason I am suggesting just speak when you talk about subject, only subject. Other things outside movies or personal things etc. about Hyderabad, you can speak in Telugu or Hindi or etc. But when you talk about subject here or anywhere, please speak in English. Really, you can see the benefit. Okay, please try in that. Okay, we'll see tomorrow then. Thank you.